living from our heart, living from our core, living from our power. We all get more. We are powerful.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Transformation Summit. I'm Sue Erda. I'm your host for this wonderful event. I get the extreme honor of talking to all of these amazing authors who are co-authors in the book, The Art and Truth of Transformation for Women. And they're here today and throughout this summit to help you. They're here to assist you because they know that they've got some information that you want to listen to. And that's why you're listening to specific interviews, right? Because you are interested in that topic, you want to know more about it, and you know they are here to help you on your own journey. So thank you for being here, listeners. We appreciate you. And so today I get the honor of talking to Gina Reuillon, and she is one of the authors in the book. She is sharing her story about forgiveness, which is really kind of cool. But today she's going to be talking a little bit about another passion she has as well, which is functional medicine. I'm going to read a brief introduction of Gina, and then we'll start talking with her. Gina Reuillon was born with a soft spot for the underdog. This desire to help others led her at the age of 12 to become a candy striper. And she was a volunteer at her local hospital, and eventually she earned a master's degree in physical therapy. Except for a short stint on Wall Street, all of her jobs, including that of a mental health counselor and an aerobics instructor, have involved helping people live better lives. For the past 25 years, she has been in private practice as a physical therapist, and in 2018, she added functional medicine to her skill set. Gina remains committed to being part of the transformation of healthcare. And Gina, I'm so excited to talk with you today. How are you?
Good, thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Great. So like I said, we're going to talk about basically two things today, forgiveness and also functional medicine. And it might seem like, well, those don't match, but I know that you're going to bring those together for us. And it's really, really great. And I know people that are listening today are thinking about that too. So, to get us started, let's, can we hear a little bit about your personal journey and how you got to where you are today?
Sure, I'd love to. Thank you. You gave me a wonderful introduction, so that's a lot of how I got here, but it's true. I always had a passion for the underdog. Growing up, that was my favorite cartoon, The Underdog. When I started candy striping at 12, I just loved it. I loved being in the hospital. I loved my vest that I had on. I felt so proud. I was in transportation, moving the patients around. So I assumed I would have a field, I would go into a medicine on some level. Got to high school and really didn't like high school. Really, really did not like high school. And when I was a junior in high school, I was offered an opportunity to go on a co-op program where I worked on Wall Street for a week, and then I went to high school for a week. And I got very enticed by Wall Street for a few years. I ended up graduating high school 6 months early, and my job was in personnel, but I used to have to go down to the trading floor and have them sign their papers, and I just was fascinated. So I got my broker's license, graduated early, worked on Wall Street. One of the traders looked at me once we were working, and he said, "You should be a physical therapist. My friend's wife is a physical therapist. She works half a day. She loves her job. That's what you should do." I said, what are you trying to say? But I filed it, whatever he said.
Right.
21, hated it, just really wasn't for me. So I quit and I went back to college full time, still not knowing what I wanted to do. And what I ended up doing was to support myself, because I had my own apartment, I was teaching aerobics. And then I got a job back at the hospital, but only this time it was in a halfway house with schizophrenic patients. And then I was waitressing. And it just kept coming back to me, physical therapist. Okay, I kind of, because at the time I entered, I thought I might go into the field of mental health. So I said, I do like therapy, but I also like the physical side of therapy. Maybe that trader was right, and maybe I should be a physical therapist. So I focused my studies. I graduated with a master's in physical therapy, and I opened my own practice pretty soon after graduating. I practiced physical therapy in town for probably about 15 years with a very low tolerance for boredom. Everything I just had to learn and master, learn manual therapy, everything I could learn. So moving forward, I started to really notice trends. One, I would cringe when the patients would come in and I'd have this long list of medications. I'd say, oh, that can't be good. Personally, I've always had a bit of an aversion for medicine. Obviously, there's a need for it. But I often wondered maybe it's too much, or is there something, if we took medicine back to the beginning, Hippocrates said, let your food be your medicine and your medicine be your food, could maybe my patients would feel better. So I started getting interested in nutrition and functional medicine types avenue. And then I finally got the opportunity to train and go to school. So I studied that for about 2 years. And then I launched the practice about 6 months ago. But I got the sense that it's still it kind of advanced. People weren't fully ready for it yet, but I'm just keeping plugging along. And I found that the marriage between functional medicine and physical therapy really fit a vision that I had, that I probably in like 2016 that I drew, basically just noticing my patients, okay, if all four pillars of wellness are in balance, being activity, nutrition, mindfulness, and rest, if on a daily basis we lived like that, life, that would be the highest quality of life. So the functional medicine tied very well into that. And here I am.
Awesome. I love that. And so those four pillars are so important to us. And I think that, we do get out of balance a lot, because there's so many things going on in life. We're so busy. There's so much life happening, and we forget about that, and we forget to take care of ourselves that way. I love that you've kind of morphed into this, the physical therapy into the functional medicine. You combine them still. Is that correct? You still do physical therapy?
Yes, I still do physical therapy, and I'm more supervised. It's been a journey for the last couple of years because I run practices. So I have about 10 employees in the physical therapy side. So I'd had to really move more towards management and training and team building and teaching, so that I could kind of shift focus to the functional medicine. So it's
Great.
been a bit of a transition, and I haven't. I'm just now really getting the courage to really step out and go to some of my referring doctors and say, what do you think about this? This is how we could serve your patients on the highest level for a home management training.
Hmm.
It's still, people are still a little bit like, oh, I don't think they understand it yet. And
Yeah.
so
Well,
teaching
that's
people,
great.
and how could it help? Don't be
Yeah.
afraid.
It's so interesting because functional medicine, I don't know exactly what it is. Like I have an idea of it, and I bet there are listeners that don't know that either. What will you tell us? What is functional medicine and why is it important? What does it mean for us in our lives and our bodies?
Okay. Functional medicine basically looks at all of the body systems, including the spiritual health. And then it tries to isolate a root cause of disease. And then in addition to that, we look at the genetics of the person. So we get this very broad picture that provides a tremendous amount of information as to what was the source, what's the root cause? Was it genetics? Was it genetics that you couldn't compensate for with nutrition, or you didn't know what to do nutritionally to compensate for your weak genetics? Is it a trauma? Is it a traumatic event that happened many, many years ago that never really resolved in the spirit, and it manifested in the physical body? Is it just a lack of exercise? Is it a forgiveness issue? There's so many things that we have more to look at to really, really help somebody on a higher level, that we seem to have in physical therapy, the way that we practice, more time to do. Medicine has evolved, and it happens very fast, and the demands on the physicians is very great as far as time management. And it's just, I see functional medicine as a nice kind of pairing to be just hey, let us help you help your patient at a higher level, and do a lot of the legwork, spend the time with them, help them confront some things, filling out really looking back in their own history. Well, when did I start getting sick? Do I have a history of being on chronic antibiotics? Do I have a poor digestive system and then other things are now breaking down? Am I genetically predisposed to cardiac issues because of the way my genes are? And do I have to maybe pay special attention? So I see it as a really good partner to help a GP, a general practitioner, guide the patient, and hopefully avoid the point of disease where it's so obvious, okay, we have to send you to a cardiologist now because you have a heart attack. Those things can all be, I think, picked up much, much, much sooner with functional medicine.
Hmm. That's great. And I think that in just my experience with doctors, not that I don't go to the doctor very often at all, but with other people, is that doctors don't have that much time to go through all of the things. So you really are a nice pairing, a good partner for those doctors.
Exactly. And just to be there for help. And I think some of the resistance that I've felt in really, really getting this, more popular is I think that some people are afraid that we're going to, give counter advice to their MD or confuse them or overwhelm them. It's actually the opposite. And because there are such simple things that I'm now feeling courageous enough to share with local physicians, that even if you just look at, okay, I'm on this medication, I have to be on this medication. There are ways, sites that I can lead them to look at the medication, say, okay, this medication is going to have a higher impact on this. So maybe just add this to your diet, maybe, this Lipitor, for example, is going to deplete your selenium. Maybe have just one Brazil nut a day, little things that can help people feel better.
Wow, that's great. I love that. So let's talk a little, I guess, philosophically, but about you. What is the number one principle in your life that has impacted you in a great way that you think by sharing it, other people might be able to be helped in their lives too?
I think for me, having all of the medical and the physical knowledge, I had to really also just go in and spiritual, really address some stuff that I knew had its root in the spiritual realm, and namely forgiveness. I've always been fascinated. I read a book by Dr. Bernie Siegel, who's an oncologist, and it really fascinated me because without looking at any labs or any medical tests, just sitting down and interviewing the patient, he knew exactly where to predict their cancer would be if they've already been diagnosed with cancer, but when they come to see him, so he knows they have cancer, where it would be. And he traced it a lot to where he would hear in the interview areas of unforgiveness or guilt,
Mm.
anything and unforgiveness together. So unforgiveness really started fascinating with me, and I started to really do a lot of work on myself personally to overcome some of the areas in my life of unforgiveness, for my own health. We can't separate our physical health from our mental health and our spiritual health, because if we feel good, we feel good. But if we don't, we have to examine where is we not feeling good. So the principle of really understanding forgiveness and then practicing forgiveness freely, not allowing myself to hang on to anything, really has impacted my life. It's impacted my relationships. It's impacted my compassion for people, because with forgiveness comes a freeing from fear of getting hurt or fear of people. So it's really enhanced my relationships and my overall health. And that also ties very nicely into functional medicine, which I found interesting, that when you have unforgiveness, it's so important not to carry that burden, because it actually dries out your bones on a physical level. And and the immune system and your bone marrow gets dried up, it really has an impact on your health. It's harder to fight disease, harder to fight cancer, harder to fight a lot of things when you're physically not equipped for that.
Yeah, for sure. That's so interesting because I think that we're coming more to that, the holistic way of looking at our bodies and mind, spirit, all together, really, and the impact they have on each other. But I think that the fact that you can say that unforgiveness, not being able to forgive, I guess, yourself, is that true? Is it when you talk about forgiveness, then is that not forgiving yourself or not forgiving someone else causes that dis-ease in your body?
It's both equal. It's equal. You know, we can have unforgiveness towards other people that have really hurt us and allow a bitter root to grow in. But then we can also be unforgiving to ourselves. And then with that comes unkindness and the mental gymnastics of sabotage over our lives, basically.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, that's very, very powerful. I love Bernie Siegel's. I saw him years ago in person up in Connecticut at this event, and he was talking about that exact thing that you're talking about with the cancer, and it's just fascinating to me. And I know this to be true. I mean, there's so many healers and wonderful people working together in the medical community and alternative, I call it alternative, but the complementary healing modalities that are just amazing. It's so cool. So I know you have this wonderful passion, Gina, to help others with functional medicine. Where'd that come from?
Primarily, it evolved over years of a low tolerance for boredom, and interest in the spiritual realm, and trying to figure out how. I know it's impacting our health and how exactly. I would like, because I love biology. I've always loved sciences. So how exactly is that impacting our health? And then just not being able to really treat my patients to the highest outcomes that they could have, and knowing that, well, there's got to be just a little missing piece of this puzzle.
And that little piece isn't such a little piece after all.
It's not really.
Yeah. Wow. So, there are people out there that are thinking, well, this sounds good, and I do pay attention to my health, and I know that there's something, though, that's not right because, oh, I have this ache and pain, or I don't feel quite right digestively, or whatever. So, and a lot of times I think that comes from stress or overwhelm or something like that. What if somebody's listening and they're feeling overwhelmed right now with some kind of physical malady that they've got going on, something going on with their health? What would you tell them to do?
One, relax, because when we get all stressed out, it doesn't help us. I would tell them to, a really easy thing to do is to start to journal, start to write, start to just let some of what your body will try to heal itself. It's a miraculous machine. And so when we sit and journal or start writing, the best thing to do when you're overwhelmed, basically what it is there's too many abstract thoughts going on up here. You have to take them from here and then get them into this plane with some mass by putting them down. So I would say just start. One, be kind to yourself. Don't start about beating yourself up with the pen. Start writing what's in your heart, and what your fears are, what your worries, what is overwhelming. Usually the brain, they say 1, 2, 3, many. More than that, the brain jams. So just maybe a few things, 1, 2, 3. These are the things that are heavy on my heart. This is what I'm worried about, my health in this area. And then start to just gently unpack it. That's just a quick thing you can do immediately. And then I would suggest that find someone that you feel trustworthy for your time to talk to, maybe to pick their brain, to get some guidance. We all need coaches. We all need each other, and when we go off on our own, we don't get very far. But sometimes one right word spoken at the right time is a catalyst. One, to probably take away most of our fears, because when we don't know the answer, we embellish. And what we embellish is usually much scarier than what reality is. So we have to bring that mind back. And I would be happy to have you call me, or just anybody that can guide you from maybe a physical. Sometimes it's just a matter of getting up and stretch, move. Sometimes we blame all our problems on the fact that we don't actually exercise at all, and our brain is crying for some good endorphins. Just take a walk. I mean, there's so many simple things that we can do to break out of a funk.
That's for sure. Yeah, funk. I know. I feel like in this year, this has been a tough year for a lot of people. A lot of people are in a funk, and a lot of people don't get out as much as they used to, and they're stuck in their chairs in their house on their couch or whatever they're doing. They feel stuck anyway. But you're suggesting to just get up and move. What a wonderful thing.
Breathe, move, journal.
Yeah, terrific. Awesome. So, and do you do all those things yourself? Do you do journaling and things?
I do. I have kept a journal since 1985,
Oh, wow.
right? That's
Gosh.
and
You've got lots of stuff in there, lots of stories. Oh my gosh.
it's out of me, it's out. So I kind of get a kick out of whoever finds those journals is gonna, I don't know, maybe even make a movie. I had pretty crazy.
You know,
Interesting things happen when you push hard against the barriers of the world. A lot of crazy things happen that you can write about. I mean, the movies come from people's real life stuff.
yeah, their minds in their real life. Yeah. And there's nothing more interesting than that. The real life stuff is like, wow, who believes that happened to that person? So that's cool. I love that. So that's great. Thank you so much, Gina. I appreciate all this information and you sharing that. And I know you have a gift for our listeners. And will you tell us what that is and also how we can get that and learn more about you?
Yes, absolutely. The free gift is that I would love to I would love to be that person that you can reach out and trust and just have a little rundown by offering you a free discovery visit where you can fill out a health questionnaire for me, and then we can just start a dialogue that about what you can do immediately to feel better.
Hmm.
So I'd love to share that with you. And my website is ginasphysicalhealth.com. So it's GINASPHYSICAL health HEALTH.com, and you can jump on my website. We'll sign up for my newsletter with an email, and then use the code FORGIVE FORGIVE, and you can thank you for listening to this video, and I'll send you that free connection.
Awesome. That's great. Well, Gina, thank you so much. I so appreciate you. I loved your story in the book too. I know that people will love reading that. And, gosh, you might need to write a book and so, get that screenplay started. Who knows? All right. Well, thank you so much for being here. Thanks for being a part of this whole project. I really appreciate you.
God bless.
God bless you. And listeners, thank you for being here too. We really appreciate you. And I know that all of these authors are sharing some information with you, simple practices and guidance to take into your own life. Like perhaps it's journaling, just get up and move, like maybe you're listening to this interview sitting down, get up and move. It'll really move that chi, move that energy in your body and get you going. So do that. And also be sure to buy this book, The Art and Truth of Transformation for Women, on launch day, which is October 20th. You come to our website, transformation-book.com. You'll be able to, we'll guide you right to Amazon. You come back to our website with your receipt number, and you will not only have this amazing book, but we'll also give you, and you'll have access to 35 gifts from our authors and partners, which you will love. So definitely do that, October 20th, launch day. And we appreciate all of you being part of this. And thank you. And I applaud you on your own journey of transformation. Keep going, everybody. Bye now. Have a good day.